just told you to nick a van, Eddie, not a van full of boxes.
I didn't know, Turtle, honest.
Here is a newsflash. In tonight's bank robbery, police have confirmed the theft of safety deposit boxes whose contents are thought to be worth close to £1 million. All those concerned have been arrested, but the whereabouts of the boxes remains a mystery.
I've been to some rummy tales in my time, but why anybody should pay good money to get somebody to look after that stuff is against nature. What are those for a start?
I think they're plans for a new civic centre.
Well, I hope it's not round here. All those rude statues. And what about that funny bag of pebbles?
Oh, Eddie's currently discussing them with Harry Antwerp.
What sort of money is this, if it's money at all?
I've just sent George down to the Indian deli on the Broadway to find out. You see, I think it's rupees. If not, it's small Oriental wallpaper.
Well, I'm going to need this table, do some ironing before I go down to the robbing. And it's about time you stop work. You've been at the office for hours already.
Yeah, well, it took me all day to open a box.
You were always patient. Even when you were a baby, you took hours to drink your milk. Mind you, the feeds were a bit late sometimes.
Can't have been easy nicking milk bottles off doorsteps at exact times.
It wasn't. Your poor mother walked miles.
Harry Antwerp says they're uncut diamonds. Offered us 50 grand.
Which means they're worth 100.
I told him 120.
Ha! You did well, Eddie. That gives us room to manoeuvre.
He may be an ace jeweller, but I don't think he's honest.
Shocking. Somebody tried to work a German half-crown on me in the pub the other night.
You took long enough. And all I wanted was a simple answer to a simple question.
Well, I asked it. And the geezer at the deli started hitting me over the head with a family-sized packet of pompadums.
Did he now? We go and see about that.
No, Eddie. There's no point in turning him and his shop into a mixed tandoori.
He seemed frightened. Said it was a lot of money in India. Threatened to call the police. So I had to do some shopping and pay for it.
Yeah, well, make sure you fill in a petty cash slip.
Lentils. I haven't cooked a lentil since the general strike.
You can't have been old enough. Well, I mean, not the strike. There was less of it about then.
I was 10. His grandmother was in Holloway for felonious use of an hat pin. And his grandfather wouldn't lift a finger. Like you lot.
Has he got any baked beans left?
I like beans.
Neddy eats 3 tins on one slice of toast, so won't go to waste.
Plans for a new civic centre. 100G in uncut diamonds and what could be a fortune in rupees. It's going to take thinking about.
Shall I pass you your hat, Uncle Turtle?
Oh, thank you, George. No, I think I'll take the rest of the day off. I was reading this article this morning about directorial stress. It said that if you...
Yes. Yes. He's here. For you, Eddie.
Hello? I understand. Problem? Tell us later. You can't talk much for 2p. Yeah, you would. Need an hour or two to soak your feet. See you then. About 9. That was Pig-handled Jock. He's just escaped from Dartmoor.
But he's supposed to be in for 10 years. For stealing those boxes.
You got out the day before yesterday. I heard it on the wireless. I'm surprised nobody was injured.
Yet. And you're going to see him at 9?
We are. I've known him years. Business problem, he said.
India. Civic centres. Pig-handled Jock on a loose. Rupees. It's like this article said this morning about ambition. Life is just a bowl of problems.
You're right, John.
Oh, yeah, if it gives me time.
Hello, chap. Thanks for waiting.
Privilege. The wife's mother's still here. She's dug the garden and started knitting me a sweater.
Always a bad sign.
It's So, if you run into anybody the size of Godzilla, let me know, will you? She keeps measuring me, but she doesn't add up very well. So, what brings you down from the temperate calms of Birmingham to the chill financial canyons of the city?
Your safe deposit case.
Astonish me. Then join the long and influential Q. Be my guest, Detective Inspector Lum. Bring on the dancing girls, even. I need it like a serenade. One of the malefactors I nicked for that case has just taken a one-way walking tour out of Dartmoor.
Yeah, pick-handle jock. He worked in Brum for a few years. Turned a police car over once. With his hands, I mean.
Oh, he's able-bodied enough. Up to his neck, anyway. There's not much upstairs.
There were 3 policemen in the car.
What are your thoughts? One of them would have had the sense to open a door.
There wasn't time.
So, you came down about a safe deposit box.
Yeah. Belongs to a Birmingham slum landlord. Name of Armin Rana. 12 people in a mildewed room, 15 quid a week rent each. If they don't pay, he takes the roof off, chops the stairs down, sets dogs on them.
Standard, but not charming.
And brothels, if you like 12-year-olds. And protection. He runs it mainly on one thug.
One? There's plenty of them about.
You know, thug. Real one. Where the name comes from, India. Mob that goes around strangling people for religion.
Oh, yeah. I read about them.
Silk scarves are standard. This one uses the cord from Venetian blinds.
And the darkness is permanent. He sounds a bad bastard.
There he is. There's the sheet on him. And photo. They call him Choke.
Well, he looks harmless enough.
Until he's got a knee in the small of your back and a cord round your throat. And there are kids in orphanages.
Jimmy, if you want to get morbid, I know a pub where the meat pies are 6 months old, the ale comes out of the central eating system, and the landlady is a respectable and accredited lesbian.
Sounds just the place to talk about Rana.
As rough as that?
Ah, that rough.
Switch the light out, will you?
Ah, right.
Who do we know knows about India?
I could go down to Delhi instead of George.
No. Needs a higher managerial level. What about that colour sergeant, gamekeeper geezer with a tide barn full of firewater we helped him to sell?
Some of it. I like to. Useful performer.
Crafty as well as pugilistic. It's always a good combination. Now, the financier who commissioned this civic centre is called Armin Rana, with an office address in Birmingham, so we're going to need a trusty native guide to Birmingham as well.
Not me. I've always worked round here except for train rides when I needed a strange face to trample on somebody.
Well, I'm off to work. So you'll just have to wear the same shirts you had on all day. Lentils. Takes me back. I can remember his grandmother's last words. I wonder what the prisons are like in heaven.
She's always worried about your father, Aunt Ethel?
Yes, she was very fond of him. They were going to get married one day, you know, in church.
And there would have been, if your father had been able to keep his hands off the collecting boxes. So, let that be a lesson to you.
They know how much they owe me. Just knock on the door. I say, Sellinghurst, do help yourself to some sherry. Soda water for me.
I must say, this is an awfully comfortable motor car, Mr. Rono.
Yes, I can't abide public transport.
I know. Far from reliable. What do you think of the detailing for the art gallery complex?
Well, I'm sure the citizens of Garam Masalabad will enjoy it.
Good. It's ethnically rooted, but spatially and civically progressive. There's one thing. One of our senior partners was commenting on...
I'm sure that your senior partner would prefer cash. 2,000. And I hope you will remind your partner this is a solvency transaction and about the cash flow problem of every businessman.
I'm not very good at the balance sheets,
I am. A civic center is being built by myself and the syndicate in Singapore. It will cost 20 million pounds in rupees.
Awful lot of money.
15 million to build, 5 in bribes, and we'll make 5 million profit.
Doesn't he ever speak?
Who? Oh, Joe. No, not often. Doesn't have to.
Joey GPO says that's the most ambitious illegal telephone extension he's ever installed.
It's only for the furniture hypermarket around the corner.
Half a mile, easy. I had to run it once, carrying a fireside chair.
You've got long legs. Besides, it saves us pounds. George? Look, first of all, you can turn that wireless down. It might be in the top 10, but I don't know what boogie means. You know what your mother's like about language. Besides, you are listening to instructions. I want you out tomorrow morning before a single sparrow's got its eyes open.
You better tell me what time and I'll drag him out. Big Ben under his bed wouldn't wake him.
Thank you, Aunt Ethel. Yes. You will then catch the first bus to North London and be on Spiker Siphon's doorstep before his sporting life appears. Then retain his services as a driver for a week. Yeah. Tell him we want a legitimate limousine with a high polish and a speaking tube. And him in his peak cap and his best uniform. Money. Yes, you're right. Spike's got a suspicious nature. Take a couple of hundred from the contingency reserve in the bottom of the budgie's cage. Try not to spill too much seed on the floor. Huh?
Why, Spike? I was in a smashing rap for 4 years. I was one of the best wheels in the business.
So I remember correctly, doubled up very effectively as a brick thrower.
With both hands.
You're an executive now, Eddie. We're in a position to employ people for the less responsible jobs.
Oh, got you. But why the uniform and a big flash motor?
Because we're going to go and visit a prominent Indian financier in his Birmingham office. And I'd like to arrive in transport which will let us conduct a quiet business transaction in a gentlemanly manner.
I suppose a camel would be difficult to come by.
We can stop in on Colour Sergeant Arnold on our way. Tap in for the yes, Saab, no, Saab, what's the turban to wear routine.
And a drop of his knockout juice. Sorry, Temple. I didn't realise you were thinking. You weren't wearing your hat.
Chan, I do not need reminding of currency regulations. I know rupees are worthless in England and must be spent in India. So whoever has mine will come to me sooner or later.
Eddie, there's a Scotch chap in the attic. Says he's expecting you. He's eaten 11 of my Cornish pasties.
He's just come from Dartmoor. And that's in Cornwall. He's probably developed a taste.
I'll put 'em on your share of the housekeeping, Eddie. Drinks are still on the landlord, but the catering's my concession.
Right on.
Pick-handled jock. I suppose we better go up and get it over with.
Jocks, no pauper.
No, not if you reach the nearest bottle before he smashes it and pushes it in your face.
He only does that as a sideline when he's not working.
Hello, are you?
Who's he? My managing director. He's a bit on the wee side. Mostly brain.
We see a specialist. Would you like a drink, Mr.
The jock will do. I forgot my last alias.
And congratulations.
Aye. It's no easy to leave off the moor. And there's credit due to the rest of the team.
What team?
The safe deposit job.
Oh, yeah, I remember. I read about it.
Police Gazette was very fair.
It can't have been easy.
Well, it's good lads backing you. They work the laundry van. Give me a rub down with bloodhound flea powder. Makes the dogs run away instead of chasing you. Mind you, the conductor in Tavistock, he wouldn't have let me on the bus because of the smell.
You're a bit ripe even now.
What did you do?
Well, I went to one of these car wash places. Ran through it for a couple of hours.
That'll account for the suit.
Got the cheap water with him, man. I mean, he gets his uniform free. He only wears his suit on Sundays.
Why just one of you?
What's democratic procedures? Representative. We're all tradesmen, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Representative for what?
A delegate nominated to approach Benedite.
Benitide?
He planned it all. Now look, we've all got wives and children and a standard of living. He's not paying them enough. He blames it on galloping inflation.
Well, I blame it on Benny's stranglehold on a pound note when the Queen can hardly breathe.
And he'll start to grasp. When I get hold of him.
Forget it, Jock. You, Solo, up against Shovel and a lot of real good new muscle.
Hey, but what else is there?
Why don't we think about it?
I'm grateful, but why?
Solidarity.
Oh, I see. Huh?
Yeah, that's the reverse of two of the red flag. We can put you out in Prudence lodgings. I mean, she's still got those false walls. What do we think?
But hold on.
Day or two, or we're going abroad.
Birmingham.
I've earned my keeping, bro. I'll wait there a couple of years. I'm more cosmopolitan than you are. Righty.
No argument there, Jock. Anyone who's completed the journey between Glasgow and Hackney and Dartmoor and Fulham has got to be well travelled.
Skulking. Every step of the way. Do you ever eat raw sugar beet for breakfast, dinner, and tea?
I'm a light eater.
Then you know nothing.
Yeah. But he's the gaffer. Shall I belt him, man?
No, Eddie, thanks all the same. This is an informal meeting. If our Scotch friend knows Birmingham, we can offer him employment up there. Yeah, and I'm sure Prudence Lodgings can supply him with a pick handle. There'll be no need for references. See you at the office tomorrow. About 10 o'clock.
The office?
That's progress, Jock.
If these cornflakes go soggy, Mum will blame me.
Then you'll have to eat them. Keep pouring.
And what have we got? 2 empty cornflake packets.
Well, now you can go and cut these rupees in half.
Now?
You will not borrow the nail scissors from the typist next door. The sweater's already given you a speech defect. Use the guillotine from the office service geezers in the basement, right? And then pack half into each packet and wrap them. See him to the lift, Eddie?
No need. I know when I'm frustrated.
Did you sort out what to do about Jock and the rest of the team?
No, not yet. It's got to be quiet because of Benny D-Day.
I once did a carpet with Sonny Brum. I know 3 months isn't long, but it'd have been longer if he'd talked more. The magistrate commented on it.
Yeah, well, Sonny came from a talkative family. That's where he learnt to listen instead. Eddie, look, they're as much on my conscience as they are on yours. I mean, they did all the real work nicking the boxes. And if Benny D-Day is defaulting on the maintenance and the payments and the families, then it's up to us to make sure that innocent women and children don't suffer. Besides, if your back is turned, they'll tear me limb from limb.
If they can catch you, that's what I'd do.
Yeah. Nobody's ever called you malicious.
No, Mrs. Horbury's no trouble looking after Jason, is it, my lamb? I think you're wise. If you've got a bad back, it does it no good climbing in and out of strange windows. I'll go private to Harley Street. And if they want an address to send the bill to, give them the public libraries. Just a minute. It's 43 Keir Hardy Road. Oh. And I've taken Jason's chemistry set away from him. There was this label. Handled with care. University students only.
Really, you should read anything very carefully before you sign it.
It's only government forms. You know the sort of rabbit to start with a dotted lines end.
Hardly rabbit. Merely the best possible presentation of your affairs. I shall also need the insurance numbers of you, Mr. Malone, and Mr. Wagstaff.
You and George. But the computer's directed us to the Labour. Well, we're punctilious about signing on.
Do you mean you're all still in the dole?
That's what it was invented for.
Well, it's impossible you run a thriving business.
Which we intend to expand.
Have a bank account which appears substantial.
We've worked long hours.
And you still collect unemployment benefit.
Well, Eddie's health isn't good. I have this allergy, as yet unidentified by medical science, and George has got this condition of being unable to get up in the morning.
He nearly took that job they offered him down a strip club.
Yeah, it was just as well you were there to clip him before he did.
This is one situation we must absolutely legitimize.
I've heard Aunt Ethel use the same tone of voice about Georgie's grandmother. Very well, Miss Goodliff. You say so, we'll come off the dole.
Oh, Mr. Chet down there. And the next day's ground results.
Next days?
Eddie doesn't believe in gambling.
Sorry to interrupt you, boss, but
I was just leaving. Are you in the security business, Mr.
No, adult education. He's an instructor in the martial arts.
How very interesting.
Spike, the siphon's getting nervous. Sitting there blocking that great flash motor. Arabs are waving at him. Even the traffic warden's getting restless.
Go and pull his peak cap down over his eyes and tell him we're paying for the petrol.
No, Eddie. Just tell him we'll be done in 5 minutes.
And if it's that tall blonde warden, tell her I remember she likes Tia Maria and she's constantly in my thoughts.
Eddie, I do wish you'd keep your methods to yourself. George might hear.
He did. What's Tia Maria?
See what I mean? Radar ears. He must have picked that up from 2 floors down. But now you can go home. Stay by the telephone and don't let go of that parcel.
Smells funny.
That's fresh air. Had to get used to that on the moor. But Heather, too. English.
We're going to have to think of a name for Jock for when we introduce him to people.
McGillicuddy is my real name, but I could never spell it.
Jones. Put that shooter away. I'm not a wood pigeon.
Of course you're not. They eat more than you do. Nice to see you. Eddie. Come on inside. I've got some friends staying with me.
Don't look healthy to me.
They're not. They're dead. Well, a nice surprise seeing you today. Never thought I'd see you. These are the gentlemen that helped me out when the general died. And this is Subedar Major Bhawan Singh Gurung and his family. They're here on holiday with me.
I didn't catch the name, but I'll keep trying.
Mostly, I am just called Subedar. Even my wife, Elizabeth. How do you do?
Yeah, well, I hope we're not interrupting.
Oh, any friend of Colour Sergeant Arnold.
Drink?
Yeah, that reminds me. His Harry Cleaning Fluid's making a fortune at his club out of this stuff. It's one of his best customers. He's in a padded room with permanent elephants. It's all good publicity.
Yes. Here, look as they need this.
Bonnie.
Aye, more than Bonnie. And with the Gurkha father, he belongs to the finest fighting men in the world.
He always says that.
Yes, and means it.
The colour sergeant likes to remember. They were in campaigns together.
There were times to remember. We did some damage together. I'm afraid I don't know much about Kyrgyz.
Not enough people do.
They were in a parade at a coronation.
They come from Nepal, where the farmland is thin soil over stone, and the livelihood of the men is to go away and fight and return. The most loyal mercenaries of the empire.
Never. Soldiers, Ma'am.
Who have died in British wars since the Raj was founded.
Oh, no, my wife puts too much importance on this.
I don't think so.
Well, I'm just happy that you and your cookery weren't on the other side.
We live in Birmingham now. Some of us married English women, and we like to stay together.
Clannish. It's a good habit.
Eddie, what's a cookery?
It's a big, heavy knife. Look, say you're a sentry, crack regiment, you're wide awake and alert. Suddenly you're standing on your kneecaps, wondering what the hell's happened to the rest of your legs. When the next swing splits your skull. Johnny Girk was here.
Oh, we have been talking and drinking rum.
Once taken from the scabbard, it may not be returned until blood has been drawn.
I think I can picture it.
We always spend our holidays here with Colour Sergeant Arnold. The fresh air is good for the children.
Aye, when you get used to it.
And we're away from slum terrorizers.
I mean, Rana, he is no trouble.
Who?
He's an extortioner and a murderer. He owns the slum street we live in. I'll make some tea. Come on, Hannah.
I thought you said this Rana bloke was a high-class Asian financier.
Yeah, well, I did.
That'll be for you, Subedar. You're reading Street Report.
Excuse me.
Hello, Jimmy. Well, you look a bit bloodshot. You fall among thieves?
No, the fraud squad.
Oh. You know, I've always thought the trouble with them is they don't get enough leg work. They have to take their exercise with their eyeballs on account books. Any use?
No, they're chasing those boxes as hard as you are. I thought they might
Oh,
be
it's
some...
covered. Sudden bankruptcies you can't explain, that sort of thing. I could have told you that.
Well, I wasn't to know.
James, everybody and his uncle, both on the sides of law and order and malevolence, are after those boxes. You want to see my collection of letters on House of Commons notepaper?
Not much, not now.
Oh, there's a note for you.
Today is not my birthday. Somebody nailed the front and back doors of some houses shut and then set fire to the basements. And 5 people didn't smash their way out in time. And it's too near Elkin Street. Ta-ra, Joe. Thanks.
Elkin Street?
They call it Malaya, then. We should have seen me and him sort it out.
We must leave earlier than planned. That was one of my cousins.
10 minutes to pack.
And the wait for the bus and the train. The motorcycle?
Is yours, Subedar, like the key under the mat.
It's any help there's a large motor car outside with a pedal-conscious driver. Yeah, we're going to be leaning on a sergeant for local colour for an hour or two.
Could be almost as fast.
Faster. I'll go and have a word with Spade.
This is most kind. If you are ever in Birmingham, I live in Elkin Street, number 58, Sparkbrook. You will be most welcome.
I say, this tea is excellent.
It should be. It's from one of my own plantations.
I was awfully sorry to hear that some of your properties burned down this morning.
Business hazard. They were, in any event, extremely well insured and ready for demolition in 3 years. Thank you. I like to keep a record.
One of our senior partners was asking...
And there is no one more curious than a greedy old Etonian. What?
and wondering when building might commence in Garasamala, Oliver Band.
Finance from the Singapore Syndicate is waiting. My own participation in rupees should arrive any day.
I can smell burning.
It's the tyres.
I told him the Subedar was married. I didn't say anything about us.
Where did this Rana geezer get these rupees from in the first place?
Illegal immigrants. The colour sergeant says the Subedar reckon he shipped them over in tea chests, clutching their rupees.
Bit cramped.
Very probably. They only spend the rupees in India. The currency laws.
Laws for everything these days.
But he can do it, so we want them back. Some big building job through a Singapore syndicate.
Where's Singapore?
Alec Guinness and the army built a bridge there once. Some yank burnt it down.
Typical.
William Holden, I think it was. Jack Hawkins was helping him.
Oh, that's all right. What's that word he used to describe Rana as a real dyed-in-the-wool gouge your eyeballs out villain?
Budmesh. Reminded me of that place we stopped at on the motorway. Gouge your eyeballs out.
Here he is. Morning, Joe.
Sleep well?
Aye, had a grand night's kip in the cellar at Sonny Brum's mother's. He asked me to look her up. She's been a mite poorly lately. Chesty, on account of keeping watch on cold nights.
Well, I've never known a street corner yet that wasn't drafty.
Put her in doorways when they can.
Good.
She thanks you for the money, Turtle. And she said Sonny's two brothers will be out next year. They'll make it up to you.
Not necessary. No, and these are troubled times, Jock. If you can help somebody. I've got his plan, see, Subedar.
He's always planning.
And it involves you. Is there a telephone handy?
There's a coin box, one in the hall, under the stairs.
Right. Well, we're going to go and see this Armin Rana geezer and put a proposition to him.
That animal.
Yeah, so I've heard. We might want the Subadar to join later. Help out?
Normally I would help and bathe myself afterwards. But you have not seen the pictures in the newspapers of the houses which were burned down yesterday.
Yeah, Sonny Brum's mother told Jock about it.
The Subadar does not want to leave us here alone.
Well, that's why Jock's here. I mean, he doesn't really like being seen out in public. He look after things.
Well, then I will wait by the telephone.
No. Never.
Oh, come on, Mum.
Go on. Well, you just take care, dear, and don't worry.
Uncle Turtle said to keep the telephone clear for business emergencies.
That was Mrs. Thorpe with her back. Doctor said she ought to be in traction.
I thought that was a steam engine.
Well, she's a big, strong woman. Put that carving knife down, my precious. Go and play in the backyard with the poker.
Just explain to them in the usual way, if you have to. It is a perfectly reasonable increase.
Mr. Rana, we'd like to see it, please.
You can't come in here.
Take a tea break, darling.
You can't come in.
My name's Eddie Malone, and I used to be in your line of business.
I'm sure you'll have heard the name. I know you've retired now, but really good hooligans never need to advertise.
What about it, John? Then move. And you?
So much for staff loyalty.
Too easy.
Who's he? Doesn't he like chairs?
No, not much. You could call him my tenant liaison officer.
Second raters. They both went out for equalisers. One of them should have stayed and argued. I wouldn't keep him on.
Thank you. I won't. A fortune. Cut in half. Worthless to you and worthless to me, unless there is an investment for them in India. What is the price of the other half?
The freehold of Elkin Street.
The whole street?
It's only a little street. And we're just starting up as capitalists.
And you can't be a capitalist unless you own property.
The council can.
Elkin Street, where the Gurkhas live. And the Subadar still gives orders.
I was coming to that. The transfer will be joint ownership between a Subadar and us.
Shrewd. Resident co-landlord and highly desirable tenants. Agreed.
How long will the paperwork take?
My solicitors are used to swift transaction, but you will need the Subadar signature.
One phone call, it'll be here.
The money?
Another phone call, and it'll be here in 2 hours. I'll make it 2.5. Spider Siphon's cousin's on his 12th false license, and they're getting to recognise him.
I'll send for some tea. And then we can use telephones and make ourselves comfortable while all the dreary formalities take place.
My managing director's in a hurry with his parcel, and he told you not to dawdle. And you're only doing 95. And it's not as if this car's got proper number plates.
place is Dartmoor. There are these wee horses wandering all over the place, and tourists sending clotted cream to people they don't like because they can be sure the post office will get it this sour.
Just out of curiosity, whatever happened to the uncut diamonds?
Is that what they were? Oh, dear.
A week ago, I was nothing, now a landowner.
The Nepalese dream, eh, what? Congratulations, Subadar. You must want to get home and tell your wife and children about it.
I've had enough tea.
No, George. And I don't know where you pick up that kind of language. Rising young executive indeed. That's no excuse for you staying overnight in somewhere like Birmingham without your warm pyjamas and a change of underwear. You'll be back in this house by 11. And your uncles are not going to be popular with me for letting you out of their sight.
Your wee sunburned man there, he tried to put this bit of string around my gullet. So I took him by the head and I threw him at the sidewalk. I apologise to your missus for the damage, and they went out and bought some sweeties for the children.
In daylight?
Well, they seemed upset. I tried to explain that it's only a game.
He came here.
He is. And breathing. His horoscope must have been good today.
I'll put him in the boot of the motor. And me and Spike will find a nice rubbish tip where he can wake up in comfort.
She must have gone to 15 shops to find bread and cheese as stale as this. There's no incentive to management or diet consciousness.
She let the fire go out as well. I'm off down to the chip shop.
Yeah, well, I'm coming with you.
Yeah, and me.
You will stay here and finish those sandwiches. And the next time you want to stay out all night in one of those places like Birmingham with a pink rock and revolta and all that, ask us first.
At least, don't telephone your mother.
Roses are flowering in Piccadilly, but there's never a rose like you. And our paths may be far apart, but there's one rose. How did you get here? Daft question. You could run 30 miles of jungle in a night. I suppose paved roads are quite a luxury. What is it?
A man was sent to my home. A debt to settle.
I'll watch your back.
I did not want to involve any of my countrymen.
No sweat, we've done it before. There's a full tank of petrol on the motorbike. I've always favoured the old Webley myself. A lot of people say it's noisy, but not many people get up to complain. This was the General's, you know. He once shot half a platoon of SS men with this. The other half surrendered before I could get there. It left me behind to detonate the barracks. Roses are shining in Piccadilly.
Morning.
Nobody smiles in here. It's bad for morale. Mine.
Break the rules. You always did.
Bend them, James. There's a difference. So, what's new?
I've got a nice easy day in the box at the Bailey. And you can forget about that box I was worried about before. Somebody else has solved the problem.
Well, that makes a change. Besides taking the weight off the ratepayers, will it?
You can forget Armin Rana, now deceased.
Cause of death?
One swing from somebody who knows how to use a sharp instrument.
R.I.P. And what about his protection?
One of them, multiple fractures. The others, gunshot wounds to the feet. Webley, we think.
You're making intensive inquiries, of course.
I'm buying the drinks later.
I shall make a suitable notation in the calendar.
Oh, another thing, just for the notebook. A car with London plates up there. 3 men, only saw 2 of them properly. One big, looking very useful. The other small, neat, running it.
Well, it sounds like Turtle and Razor Edward. It can't be, not in Birmingham. It's too far from Fulham. And they get seasick crossing Battersea Bridge.
Eddie, look, I tell you, it's to everybody's advantage. I mean, we're running a legitimate business now, right?
With offices.
And a lift.
Then if we put Jock and his team on a staff, it'll help our bookkeeping, and it will save Jock getting fractured by Benny's new muscle.
I think the lads will agree to that. We're going to send them money.
Now, that's been arranged. Yes, officially they're going to be staying at Prudence Lodgings. Someone 6 centuries a week ending up in the Lost Property Office.
Delivery. I'll try to answer like the book say.
Mr. Turtle, I'm not often confused.
I understand. I mean, it's not your job to be confused. Me, yes.
But I was passing, and I thought I'd rather drop in sooner than make a tedious telephone call of confirmation.
Miss Goodleaf, you're always welcome.
And she can count.
And now, you've just hired 6 security operatives.
Yes.
All named Jones?
They did think of forming a choir.
All at the same address?
Close. Community.
Prudence Lodgings. Is that all?
Just off the North End. Everybody knows it.
Yeah, I've had postcards there for Edinburgh.
Very well, I'll make out the necessary returns. And you've also just purchased a street in Birmingham.
Only half of it.
Hope the previous owner has studied his capital gains liability.
That's his problem.
Why not? I wouldn't want a Subadar after my kneecaps.
Well, I'm not clear, but I am slightly less confused. Slightly. Good afternoon.
There's a woman I could admire.
You sound like George.
Eddie, at the risk of losing teeth, sometimes you can be base.
Sorry.
Well, I'll thank you, God. You've work to do. I'm thinking of handing myself in. Pay my debt to society.
Society? You say society?
Once more with feeling, I will try once again. I will try to explain myself to you. I may be down, but you know I've been around. And every time I've seen those gray skies turn to blue. It's tough at the top, but rougher at the bottom, and positively boring in between. I don't lose my head, I just try to make some bread and get to places that I have never been. Eventually, some good luck will come along. Eventually, I'll get it right instead of wrong, because I know that one fine day Lady Luck will call and say, Mr. Muggins, Mr. Muggins, Mr. Muggins,